Okay, now we got it.
Okay, Hare Krishna. So Sri Sadevu, so you want to go? Can you hear me?
Yeah. No, I'll take it ready. Yeah, I can hear you.
You know, Prabhu, Sade Prabhu, you know, it's good that you are very humble, but you know, you gave your place to Salika Prabhu yesterday. So I think we want this Prabhu Salika speak from the heart yesterday. We enjoy it. I think we want you to speak from your heart today also. Forget about preparation. Let us hear your heart.
It's a very good one.
No, I would like to prepare. Salika Prabhu has prepared for this. That would be more time for me. So, thank you, though. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna. We are like 7 minutes behind, so Salika Prabhu.
Yeah, I think we should start because
I'm going to put the verse on the screen, and then we'll start. Okay, Hare Krishna, take it from here.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Actually, I cannot be more in thanking the devotees for their kind mercy. Om Agyananti Mirandasya. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. So we're reading from SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM. First Canto, chapter 13, text number 14. The Sanskrit text reads thus. Kanchit kalam atavatsit sadkrito devata sukam bratu jistasya shreyas krihit sarvesam sukam avahan. Word for word translation. Kanshit for a few days. Kalam time. Ataha doves. Avasit resided. Satkrita being well treated. Devavat at just like a godly personality. Sukaham amenities. Bratuhu of the brother. Gestasya of the elder. Shreyya Krit for doing good to him. Sarvesham all others. Sukaham happiness. Avaham made it possible. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Thus, Mahatma Vidura, being treated just like a godly person by his kinsmen, remained there for a certain period just to rectify the mentality of his eldest brother, and in this way, bring happiness to all the others. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Saintly persons like Vidura must be treated as well as denizens from heaven. In those days, denizens of heaven planet, that of Mara, the material universe, but also in the spiritual universes. Even now, they used to visit the palace of Maharaj Yudhishthira, and what to speak of other celestial demigods. It is all
Hare Krishna. It seems Salika Prabhu is having some sort of technical issues. We'll wait till he comes back. Salika Prabhu, you are muted.
Yeah,
Okay.
my network seems to be, that was a technical issue I was having in the beginning. I wanted to change. All of a sudden, my hotspot wasn't working. So I'm trying to manage.
All right.
Yes, the network I'm using can be very fluctuating. So just a minute. Let me see if I can connect another network. Just give me a second.
Okay.
Krishna Kirtana Gana Radha Punnatake Kalinnatanayatire Chabansi Bate Preman Madhava Sadase Sadasaya Grastau Pramattau Sada Radha Punnatake Kalinnatanayatire Chabansi Bate Preman Madhava Sadase Sadasaya Grastau Pramattau Sana Radha Krishna Gunasmite Madhurima Nande Namo Hitau Bande Rupa Sanatana Raghunagam Sri Jiva Gopalakam Krishna Kirtana Gana Nartana Param Premamritam Vanidhi Dhira Dhira Jana Priyam Priyakaram Nirmasanam Pujitau Sri Chaitanya Kripa Bharau Bhuvi Bhuva Bharavahantarakam Bande Rupa Sanatana Raghunagam Sri Jiva Gopalakam He Radhe Brajadevi Ke Chalalite He Nanda Sunakutaha
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Sri Govardhana Padapatale
Hare Krishna, Sadhu Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Okay.
I think we can continue. Sometimes
right.
this technology can be very funny.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to change the network, but it's like it's giving me. I'll just continue with this network, and then I'll go about it. So I'll start the reading of the purport once again.
Okay.
Saintly persons like Vidura must be treated as well as denizens from heaven. In those days, denizens of heavenly planets used to visit homes like that of Maharaj Yudhishthira. And sometimes persons like Arjun and others used to visit higher planets. Narada is a spaceman who can travel unrestrictedly, not only within the material universe, but also in the spiritual universes. Even Narada used to visit the palace of Maharaj Yudhishthira, and what to speak of other celestial demigods. It is only the spiritual culture of the people concerned that makes interplanetary travel possible, even in the present body. Maharaj Yudhishthira therefore received Vidura in the manner of reception offered to the demigods. Mahatma Vidura had already adopted the renounced order of life, and therefore he did not return to his paternal palace to enjoy some material comforts. He accepted out of his own mercy what was offered to him by Maharaj Yudhishthira. But by the purpose of living in the palace was to deliver his elder brother, Dhritarashtra, who was too much materially attached. Dhritarashtra lost all his states and descendants in the fight with Maharaj Yudhishthira, and still, due to his sense of helplessness, he did not feel ashamed to accept the charity and hospitality of Maharaj Yudhishthira. On the part of Maharaj Yudhishthira, it was quite in order to maintain his uncle in a befitting manner, but acceptance of such magnanimous hospitality by Dhritarashtra was not at all desirable. He accepted it because he thought that there was no alternative. Vidura particularly came to enlighten Dhritarashtra and to give him a lift to the higher status of spiritual cognition. It is the duty of enlightened souls to deliver the fallen ones, and Vidura came for that reason. But talks of spiritual enlightenment are so refreshing that while instructing Dhritarashtra, Vidura attracted the attention of all the members of the family, and all of them took pleasure in hearing him patiently. This is the way of spiritual realization. The message should be heard attentively, and if spoken by a realized soul, it will act on the dormant heart of the conditioned soul, and by continuously hearing, one can attain the perfect stage of self-realization. Om Agyanam Timirandasya Gyana Gyanam Shalakaya Shakshu Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Shaitaya Manubhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadamayam Dadati Swam Padantikam. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Aditya Gadadha Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Kanchit kalam atavat sit satkrito devata asukaham brattu jistasya sriyas krihit sarvesham sukam avaham. The Mahatma, Mahatma Vidura, just like a godly person by his kinsmen, remained there for a certain period just to rectify the mentality of his elder brother, and in this way bring happiness to all the others. Hare Krishna. So, first and foremost, I want to offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees who are gathered on this platform to hear the SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM, especially to all of my senior god brothers sisters who are here on this platform. I pray and beg for your mercy to be able to render service in this regard, representing the Parampara system. I offer respect for all of the devotees. I pray that by your mercy, I'll be able to speak one or two things that will be beneficial to everyone in this moment of our lives. So we continue the discussion and reading from SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM, first canto, chapter 13, and talking about the return of Vidura to the Hastinapur. And this text particularly is talking about the purpose of Mahatma Vidura coming back to Hastinapur is being delineated in this verse, which is the actual quality of all of the saintly persons. What the saintly persons does when they come into the environment is what is the emphasis. In the first paragraph, Prabhupada briefly spoke about how saintly persons like Vidura must be received, how they should be treated, what should be the attitude, what should be the mood to receive a saintly person. And Prabhupada explained that in those early times, it is not uncommon to see great personalities visiting the house of householders or the kings for proper guidance on how to rule or how to manage the home affairs. And it's such a unique thing in those ages that even demigods of heaven, the demigods, in other words, they do come And for those who are great personalities like Arjun, it was not uncommon for them also to be able to move to the higher planetary system. We read in the story of the Mahabharata how Arjun had to go during the exile years, where they were exiled out of Hastinapur, when he has to go to Indraloka within those periods. So this act of movement of the living entities from lower planet or the other planet in the same body is not uncommon because of the quality of the living entities that are existing in that particular time. So, but then the important thing in this first paragraph, what is trying to emphasize is that interplanetary system travel was possible in the physical body. We've read in so many places that story of King Trishanku, who wants to go to heavenly planet with his degraded body. Trishanku was caused by Vishwamitra and all of the stories of Vishwamitra. But the most important thing here is that in the ages behind or in the past ages, it wasn't an uncommon experience to see living entities moving up and down, because the living entity by nature is spirit soul, it's a spirit. And then the material body is just a covering. And to the level of how someone realizes the self, he can move from one portion of the universe to the other by the power of the spiritual potency that they carry. So this was not uncommon. And the verse we're reading is talking about Vidura being treated just like a godly person by his kinsmen and remaining in Hastinapura for one time, for a period of a time. But in this class, actually, what I wanted to actually speak mostly about is the importance of the association of such a great saintly person, because that is what is most important to us in our present time, in our present age. Because in Kali Yuga, everyone is conditioned, everyone is a Shudra, as stated by the scriptures. And what is most important for one who is in difficult situation is to find a way out of that difficult situation. So I will want to talk much about the explanation that Prabhupada is given in the second paragraph of the purport about the importance of associating with a great saintly person. And it is said in several scriptural verses that a moment association with a great devotee can cause the fortune of a conditioned soul who is suffering in the conditional state of life. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text number 63 upward, the Lord Krishna told Arjun how the living entities get entrapped, into a conditional life. It's gradually by contemplating on the senses of the living entity, gets attracted to material sense gratification, and in this way it goes through a whole lot of suffering. But here the most important thing is that Srila Prabhupada wanted to understand is that Prabhupada is emphasizing about the great potency of a saintly person or meeting with a saintly personalities, and how it becomes the fortune for the conditioned soul in the material world. There are several stories in the scriptures that depict the importance of associating with devotees, all of the difficulties that living entities have in the material world, and whatever difficulties that one can have, especially in our environment. Yesterday we were discussing about the degrading situation of our system, and not just in our West African region alone, but all over the global world. How we're seeing so many degradation based on the question asked by Kavik and PRABHU. But the solution is what is most important, and that's what Prabhupada is given in this second paragraph of this purport, and which is what I'm trying to focus on in this discourse this afternoon. Because if someone, like the quote by Srila Gurudev, if one has the power to win a war and he refuses to use that, or is unable to use that, it is said to be a tragedy. And sometimes devotees wonder, okay, with all of the challenges that we're looking at, with all of the difficulties that is there existing in West Africa, in the global space, what is the solution? That is the most important thing. because we already know that the material world, especially in Kali Yuga, is already degraded. There is so much of difficulties, like we explained yesterday. There's so much of fault in Kali Yuga. So it is not too strange to find that things are not going the right way. But what is the most important thing that is to be benefited from Krishna consciousness, for being in Krishna consciousness, is the importance of association of devotees. There's a story of Ambarish Maharaj, and I would like to share that story here. How the association, just by a moment association with devotees of the Lord, in other words, to focus on what we should be actually looking for us to get out of this so much challenges that we experience in so many ways. They manifest themselves in different experiences in our lives. I'd like to tell the story of Ambarish Maharaj. Ambarish Maharaj, we all know, Ambarish Maharaj was a great devotee of the Lord. Ambarish Maharaj is one of the great Maharajas who was able to apply the whole of the external senses in engaging in devotion service to the Supreme Personality of God. Is glorified all over the very scriptures. Such a powerful devotee of the Lord. But Ambarish Maharaj had a one very close brother of his. The close brother of his name is called Papa Raja. Papa Raja. Papa means sin, and Raja means king. So he's called king of sin, or the king of all kinds of sins. So sometimes it's amazing how this thing happens. We see that Prabhu Maharaj was born in the family of a demon, but it was great devotees. But in this story, Ambarish Maharaj, as we all know, such a powerful devotee, but he has a brother who is very demoniac, very, very sinful in his life. So as the nature of a devotee, just like Vidura here, is looking at Maharaj Dhritarashtra, because this is actually a story that relates and how it explains how the mind of great saintly person, how they try to save the conditioned soul. So the story relates to each other, and that's why I want to share this story. So Ambarish Maharaj, he was also concerned, just like Vidura was concerned for this Dhritarashtra. Ambarish Maharaj was concerned, and he was thinking, this brother of mine, how can I help him? How can I save him? What can I do to save him out of his conditional situation? And he was thinking, and then so knowing fully well as a devotee that the greatest means of saving from all of the whatever challenges, sinful activities, or whatever conditional experience that one is going through is the association of devotees. So he was thinking, how am I going to help this brother of mine? So he requested, he called for the presence of Narad Muni. Of course, first and foremost, he tried. Like we were saying yesterday, sometimes we have to try. So Ambarish Maharaj was trying to encourage his brother to leave sinful activities, to engage in auspicious activities, but his brother would never listen to him. He was so engrossed in sinful activities. He said that he drinks throughout the day. He's always sitting in the midst of a prostitute. So Papa Raja would never listen to Ambarish Maharaj. So Ambarish Maharaj thought, how am I going to save this soul? So then he invited Narad Muni. And then when Narad Muni appeared, he said, my dear Narad Muni, please, I want to beg for a request from you. And Narad Muni eagerly was willing to serve. This is the mood of a devotee. And Narad Muni, as we all, of course, read even in this purport, it's a transcendentalist which has the capacity to influence anyone. So Ambarish Maharaj requested from Narad Muni, my dear Narad Muni, please kindly help me to preach to this devotee of mine, this brother of mine. Please kindly preach to him. If you preach to him, he will get transformed and he can become a devotee of the Lord. So please kindly help. But Narad Muni said, no, my dear Ambarish, I don't want to preach to this person because he will never take. But Ambarish Maharaj said, somehow or the other, you have to find a way to save him. You're my dear saintly person. Please, I'm pleading with you. Please kindly help my brother. So after thinking so back and front, Narad Muni agreed. He said, okay, I will try to help your brother, but I will only try. He said, okay, just make a try. So he said, okay, he's in the other part of the town, so please kindly visit him. So Narad Muni visited Papa Raja. Papa Raja, when he saw Narad Muni, of course, everyone in those times, it's not difficult, just like we read in the fourth paragraph of the purport. It's not difficult to identify great personalities because people are highly elevated. So he could identify Narad Muni coming. When he saw Narad Muni, in a usual courtesy way, he paid obeisances to him. He greeted him very nicely. And immediately Narad Muni was received like that. Narad Muni started trying to preach to Papa Raja to engage in auspicious activities and live a sinful life. Of course, he met him in stupor, in where he was grossly drinking in the midst of prostitutes. So the moment Narada Muni pronounced, trying to talk about Lord Vishnu, about Krishna consciousness, Paparaja became enraged. He said, "You have come. I've told my brother, I'm sure it's my brother that must have sent you here." And he carried broken bottles of drinks that he's been drinking, and he started throwing into Narada Muni. And for Narada Muni to save himself, he has to run away very far, immediately. And when Narada Muni ran, when he ran to a distance, he got to a point, and Narada Muni, when he stayed at a very distance, after he has saved himself from the bottles that's been thrown at him by Paparaja. So Narada Muni looked at him and he said to Paparaja, he said, he said, when he knows that he has already taken cover from the, he said, very soon you meet with death, but when you die, since you have refused to live sinful activities, you will die. But I want to tell you something. When you die, you will meet with Yamaraj for these sinful activities you engaging in. But when you meet Maharaj, please ask him the importance of associating with sadhus. Ask Yamaraj that question. That's all I have to say to you. And he left. He said, "What is this nonsense crazy man talking about? Just get away from here." He carries another bottle and throw. Narada Muni left just like that. And when Narada Muni left, of course, Paparaja never changed because he was completely engrossed in his sinful activities and all kinds of abominable activities he was engaging in. So after some long time, Paparaja lived a long period of life, and eventually he died. When Paparaja died, and then, of course, for every living entity who is conditioned, he has to meet in the court of the Yamaraj. So Paparaja was dragged by the Yamadutas to the court of Yamaraj. And when he got to the before the presence of Yamaraj, and Yamaraj looked at him and he said, "Look, you, Paparaja, you're such a sinful person. You're so unfriendly with devotees of the Lord. So definitely for you, you are going to into hellish planet for eternity. You're going to remain there for a very, very long period of time." He said, "But because of certain things," of course, Chitragupta was there, and Chitragupta was accounting all of the sinful activities Paparaja was doing in his life. And after Chitragupta narrated all what Paparaja has done in all of his life, so Yamaraj said, "For this one, definitely, is going to go to hell." He said, "But then there is one aspect of his life activities that you read. Because of that, I want to give him an opportunity to ask whatever he wants. In any case, he's going to remain for eternity in his hellish planet. But I'll give him one opportunity." He said, "My dear Paparaja, your fate is already decided. You're going to live eternally in the hellish planet. But I'll give you one opportunity to ask just one question before you go, before you're thrown into the hellish kingdom." And Paparaja, by the dint of the Lord's arrangement, immediately at that moment, he remembered that statement that was pronounced by Narad Muni when he was running away, when he was being attacked. And he said, by dint of good fortune of meeting Narad Muni, then he asked, he said, he remembered the question, and he said, "My dear Lord, since you have given me only one opportunity and to ask only for one thing, I want to ask one thing. What is the importance of meeting with the sadhu? What is the significance? What is the importance of meeting with the sadhu?" And when he asked that, Yamaraj became silent immediately. He said, "You want to know what is it?" He said, "That is only one thing I wanted to know." And he recounted his experience with Narad Muni. And Yamaraj looked at him. Yamaraj became choked with ecstasy. And Yamaraj was looking at him. He said, "Well, the question you have asked is such a very wonderful and powerful question. I can't answer this alone. I can answer it. So I'll have to direct you to somewhere. Before you go to the hellish planet which you are destined to go by your activities in your life, I will send you to somebody who will be able to explain to you the question. That since I have already given you the benediction to ask one question, but the question you have asked is bigger than me. I can ask this question." He said, "I'll send it to Lord Brahma." And he sent it to Lord Brahma, the creator of the universe. And by the influence of time, he arrived at the abode of Lord Brahma. When he arrived in the abode of Lord Brahma looked at him and said, "Yes, Paparaja, what is it that you want?" Papa Raja pronounced the same question. He said, actually, I'm being, by due of my sinful activities, I'm going to hell, but I was given an opportunity to ask a question, and I asked that question to Yamaraj, and Yamaraj could not answer. He said, I should come to you, you'll be able to answer my question. I said, what's the question? He said, I just wanted to know what is the importance of being in association or meeting with a saintly person, a sadhu. And immediately he said that Lord Brahma became ecstatic, and he closed his eyes for a very long time. And after, when he eventually opened his eyes, he said, my dear Papa Raja, the question you have asked is not for me. So I question that I cannot attend to this. I'm busy with my creation business, and I cannot do this. I cannot answer this kind of a question. So you'll have to go to, how to send it to somewhere else. He said, okay, no problem. Where is it that I have to go to? He said, I'm sending you to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, he is a great personality. Excuse me, he can answer your question. And he said, immediately, you can go. And Papa Raja left the abode of Lord Brahma. He went to the abode of Lord Shiva. And when he arrived in the abode of Lord Shiva opened his eyes from meditation and he looked at him. And he said, Papa Raja, what are you doing here? What have you come to do? He said, my dear Lord, I've been sent here by Lord Brahma. Actually, I know I'm a very sinful person, and Yamaraj has designed my fate. I'm supposed to live eternally in this hellish planet. But it gave me one boon that I can ask one question, and I've asked that one question, but he said, that question he cannot answer. I have to go to the next place, to Lord Brahma's abode, to ask that question. And I went to Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma said he is busy with his creative activities, cannot answer this question. He's bigger than him. I should come to you, you'll be able to answer my question. So Lord Shiva said, okay, what is that kind of a question that's so big that Lord Brahma, with all of the knowledge, Vedas, he cannot be able to answer that question? What is the question? And he opened his mouth again and said, my dear sir, I've had a question and I want to ask. I want to find an answer to this question. What is the significance? What is the power in associating a moment association with a devotee of the Lord or a sadhu? What is this moment? What is the significance of a moment association with a sadhu? And immediately he said that Lord Shiva also fell into ecstasy. And Lord Shiva went into trance for a long time. And after opening his eyes, he looked at Papa Raja in his eyes as he said, my dear Papa Raja, you're such a sinful person, but then you have asked a very grave question. Even I, just like Lord Brahma and Yamaraj, cannot answer this question. This question is bigger than me. I'm busy with all my goblins around me. I'm doing all of my activities. I cannot answer this question. But there's one person that can answer you this question. I will send you to him. And when you get there, you get the answer to this your question. And immediately he sent him to the abode of Lord Narayan. And Narayan, at the end of it all, Papa Raja find himself in the abode of Lord Narayan, being tended to Lakshmi Devi. And when he arrived, Lord Narayan looked at Papa Raja and gave him his glance, and he was able to speak. And he speak. So, my dear Lord, I've come here under the instructions of Lord Shiva. I'm a sinful person. I'm not supposed to enjoy any heavenly enjoyment, talk less of coming into your kingdom. But in the course of my life, I have a question which I was asked to ask when I met with Yamaraj. And I met Yamaraj when I was being sentenced to go to hellish planets eternally. And Yamaraj could not answer my question. He sent me to Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma could not answer my question. He sent me to Lord Shiva. And Shiva has to send me here that he himself even cannot answer this question. So, my dear Lord, I'm open, I'm desiring that you answer this question. Lord Vishnu said, what is that question? When he asked that question, immediately all of the devas assembled there, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Narada Muni himself. When he asked that question immediately, and Lord Narayan said, you want to know the importance of association with Sadhu Sangha? That is what has just happened in your life. Because a moment association with a saintly person, a sadhu, takes you to the abode of the Lord himself. And since you have arrived here, you cannot go back again. Because whoever comes into my abode never goes back to the material realm. Because you have come here by the association of Narada, that is the reason why you find yourself in this abode. And because you've come here, you're no longer going back, neither to Yamaraj or to the hellish planets. You remain here in my abode eternally. And this is the story that signifies how powerful the moment association of devotees is. And we can see this even in our modern times. Srila Prabhupada was a 69-year-old man. He came from India, a contemporary person, ordinarily. How can such a person, just one single man, but because it was a Mahabhagavad, it was a pure devotee of the Lord, just by one person, just not two, not three, we complained, we talked about how we want to expand the Krishna consciousness. All it requires is just one saintly person. And we can become that saintly person. And Srila Prabhupada exemplified that. When Srila Prabhupada, just him alone, we have tens of millions of devotees across the whole globe in today's world, just by the influence of one personality, Srila Prabhupada. So it has happened during the time of Papa Raja and Ambarish Maharaj. It happened in our own current era. Just 50 years ago, Prabhupada appeared on this planet. And all it takes is just a moment association with the devotee of the Lord. And once we are associated with the devotee of the Lord, all that is impossible becomes possible. All that is a difficulty becomes resolved just by the moment association with the pure devotee of the Lord. And to round up this discussion, what is the association of the Lord? We might be, the complaint is that, okay, how do we find out such a powerful person like Srila Prabhupada? The Lord himself is physically present in his only name, and the Lord and his names are not different. And in this name, he has invested the whole of self. If we simply associate with the holy name of the Lord in the right consciousness, with the right attitude, then all the difficulties that we seemingly manifest in our life will disappear, just like the darkness dissipate with the appearance of the sun in the sky. That is a powerful solution that is available to each and every one of us. We need to take advantage of, we need to penetrate it, we need to just embrace it. And then the predictions of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will get manifested in our lives. There are so many verses in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Time will not permit me that I can reference them. Chaitanya Charitamrita in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, 222:49, 222:54, in the whole of that chapter down to 83. There are so many references there, which is relating to the significance, the powerful potency of association with the devotee or the Lord himself. And when one associates like this, it becomes very great. I will stop here so that we can ask questions, because quite fortunately, let me say it's fortunate, I had, as some of us might know, this is the World Interfaith Harmony Week. And there are a series of being on the platform of United Nations. I have a series of lectures I have to give on the United Nations platforms between now and next week. So today is one of them, and because of the time zone, it is supposed to be 5 o'clock local time. But I've told them that there is something I cannot skip, because initially I was thinking, okay, maybe I will skip this class. But because of the importance of hearing Bhagavatam daily, it has become a part of me. When we hear Monday to Friday, Saturday and Sunday, I take shelter of Bhakti Bible and I have to hear Bhagavatam. It has become my routine that I cannot live one day without hearing Bhagavatam. So I felt, yes, I will speak there, but the potency to speak there, I will get it if I come to Bhagavatam class. So I decided to stay. If not, otherwise, I will have been in that program. I've told the organizers of the program that, yes, the program is starting by 5 o'clock local time, but they will give me 15-20 minutes before I join them. So they should schedule my speech. They should schedule my speech to like second to the last or the last speaker on that platform, because about 5 of us will be speaking on that platform for that period. So I would like to stop here so that we hear the devotees' realization, comments, contributions, questions, and maybe like Ganga Prasad Prabhu will say, some chastisement if there are some for my whimsicality. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Salika Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Well, thank you for your love for SRIMAD Bhagavatam and being here, even though you have such a tight schedule today. So at this point, we ask the devotees to raise up their hand if they have anything to say. Hare Krishna. Shri Salika Prabhu, I have this question. I just want to know, there is this word called bestiality. In other words, if a human being have sex with a dog, he will be arrested, because human beings are supposed to have sex with fellow human beings. And recently in the US here, three guys were arrested. One was having sex with a horse, one with a dog, and one with a goat. I don't know, the goat or a sheep. So my question is, in the purpose, Srila Prabhupada was talking about how great personalities have these interplanetary journeys. And we know Arjun had visited the Nagaloka. And when he was there, he had an affair with one of the Nagalokas called Ulupi. And from that union, they had a son called Iravan, who actually also fought in the Mahabharata war. Now, my question is, how does Arjun, being a human, have an affair with a Naga, a snake, and then the offspring is a human? Can you give a little bit light on this? Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Sadhu Prabhu. Anyway, I'll attempt to answer your question. You know, it is said that the activities of the Lord and his devotees are inconceivable. And unless one is on the transcendental platform, you cannot understand the activities of the Lord. First and foremost, my first approach to this question will be that in the first place, the Lord is inconceivable, his activities and the activities of his devotees are inconceivable. So we cannot understand them unless by the mercy of the Lord himself and his devotee. The first look at this thing before I come down to the materialistic approach to understanding and dealing with this kind of a situation is the first thing is that the devotee of the Lord who are directly associates of the Lord, who appear with the Lord and engage in activities cannot be understood from the material on the material plane, because they are completely transcendental activities of a transcendental abilities. You can imagine if the Supreme Personality of Godhead is stealing, practically stealing, and then you think about God stealing, and then when somebody steals materially, we know how even the greatest thief in the material world does not want to be, it does not want to be known or seen, talk less of being glorified, but we're glorifying the activities of the Lord, being a thief. Let us look at another activities of the Lord. Lord Krishna in Vrindavan, the ladies of Vrindavan and the Brajabasis and the Gopas, they have a different place of bathing. And in one of the Leelas explained in the 10th canto of the SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM, the Lord went on the top of a tree, carries the cloth of the women and that of the men, mix it together, and then they all naked, they have to come. This kind of whimsical is what we will describe as whimsical activities based on material understanding is glorified by even the topmost Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of the Gopis, glorified these activities. This is how incomprehensible the activities of the Lord and his devotees is so great. It is not on the mundane platform. They are of a different understanding entirely, and therefore cannot be understood or judged by material understanding or calculations. But when it comes to our modern day times experiences of this, there are two ways to understand this. In the Spiritual Warrior, book 1, so the Gurudev explains some of these experiences, why some people, some living entities, due to kind of activities they've gone into in their previous lives, they come into this present into this present body and exhibit certain activities which are like unhuman. But when a spiritual person sees that, understanding from the higher perspectives, he can understand and knows how to manage them. But from the mundane understanding, it is difficult to comprehend. And Srila Krishna Prabhupada in that book explained that that does not mean that one should encourage such activities that are not morally justifiable. But a spiritual person, and he gave example in one of his lectures when ISKCON, in the ISKCON platform, ISKCON GBC, there was this discussion about some gays who are trying to be devoted, and he was explaining, yes, this is not a moral activity, but we should be, as a devotee, the mood of a devotee is that is compassionate. because he's compassionate, he understands that certain activities are beyond ordinary just material perception. So a devotee sees it from that angle and it relates to it, and then it tries to manage it from that perspective. But on the gross material level now, on the gross material level, these activities are completely immoral. And in this age especially, it is not sanctioned. It is not encouraged that in the first place, if one wants to engage like activities like that of Arjun, like you gave an example, he has to develop the qualities of Arjun. But because we do not have the qualities like that of Arjun, so we cannot go into the activities of Arjun. And then just like the example given few days ago, everybody wants to smoke ganja. But then, because Lord Shiva smoked ganja, right? But then Lord Shiva also drank poison. We cannot drink poison. We will die. So these activities that were recorded, that happened in the previous ages, some of them, the importance of their narration is to purify our consciousness for the purpose of our spiritual upliftment, not for us to emulate. We are to follow in the footsteps, not to imitate them, because our present situation, one, we do not have the adhikar, we do not have the qualification to engage in such activities because they are completely beyond the ordinary condition state that we have found ourselves in. And that is number one, we don't have that qualification. Second thing is that for every age, from Satya, Treta, Dwapara, Yuga, every age has a specific sanctioned activity. We're reading yesterday, and Prabhupada said, it was quoting Niti Sastra. Even some of the injunctions that are quoted in the Niti Sastra, if you look at them, you will not be able to comprehend. And we talked also about sex, for an example. Sex is said, one who is engaging in sex should not even read SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM. But then we are all engaging in sex life. And but Krishna himself also says that sex life that is not against Krishna consciousness. So we have to look at the time, the place, and that is why our philosophy is Desha, Kala, Patra. According to place, time, circumstances, one will relate to the historical account that is found in the scriptures. They are authentic, they are realistic, they are truth. But truth also has its different levels of understanding. The truth that we consider to be truth now is not the same level of truth in Dwapara or Treta or Satya Yuga. Truth also depending on the age that it is being explained. So from my little understanding, maybe we might have some of God's brothers who want to explain, but my understanding is that such activities of Arjun cannot be imitated in this age because they are activities, one, on the first and foremost, to summarize the answer, first and foremost, they are activities of the Lord and his devotees. They are beyond our category of understanding. And secondly, even in our own time, there are injunctions for one who is born in this age. And we should look at our adhikar before we contemplate on engaging in any activities that are depicted in the scriptures. I don't know if
Hare Krishna, thank you for the answer. The answer you gave me actually raises too many questions, actually. But since you don't have enough time, Kavikanapur Prabhu has his hand up. We may continue next time. Kavikanapur Prabhu, you.
Yes, thank you very much, Prabhu, for allowing me. Thank you very much, His Grace Salika Prabhu, for your enthusiasm to speak Bhagavatam. You know, it's very contagious. You know, I can see the Shakti. Thank you very much, Prabhu. I wish I have that energy, you know, to hear and speak Bhagavatam. So my question, actually is like a kind of a contribution regarding to Sade Prabhu's question about Arjuna. Prabhu talk about the Arjuna sleeping with Naga, the snake. You know, just like we have in the present day also, we have the mermaids. They have two forms. You know, they have the fish form and they have the woman form also, which are very attractive when humans see them. So in that way, if the mermaid become attracted to person seeing the potency of that person, of their power, they can have union. And also like, you know, Pima also have a relationship with Indibi. She's like a Rakshasha, like a winch. and they can take any forms. They can have 2, 3 forms. And if they like in Yoruba we say Arjun, if they become attracted to a person because of the potency of that person, you know, anything can happen because they know what the product of that child will be something else. So all this is not very like high philosophy about that Arjuna, you know, it's not like the person, the woman is a snake. No, she's from that world, but she can have dual citizenship, woman and snakes. I think that is how I understand it. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you very much for contributing. Thank you for the angle.
She has a dual citizenship. Beautiful. Well, thank you. Anyone else with any question or anything to say to add?
Yeah, SRIMAD Prabhu, is there anything to say? Ganga Prashad Prabhu, you can contribute. You know, it is interesting what actually BHAGAVATAM, you know, in those days, almost 20 years back, when His Holiness Govinda Maharaj came, and he was explaining in the class. I remember that class where we were in a Jawa estate in Lagos, and he was saying that day will not exist when he will not hear and speak Bhagavatam. And sometimes we will start wondering how this is possible. You know, we will sometimes start wondering. And then we're seeing that even in today, just some few years back and now, we're seeing that even in our grossest condition state that we are, which we cannot even equate in any way. I mean, the ratio is far out at our very gross conditional state of life. We can see how Bhagavatam becomes so much attracted to the heart if one simply gives oral reception to it.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Well, it's very interesting. That is the more reason why we have Bhagavatam classes, because there are many things said in the scriptures that requires a further explanation. Because just like what you said, that those who engage in sex life should not read Bhagavatam. Even though something like that may be said, but it needs further clarification and the reasons, because Srila Prabhupada came to the West. His devotees were very naive, ignorant. They didn't know anything about Krishna. Yet he did not hide Srimad Bhagavatam from them. He gave them Srimad Bhagavatam. And under no circumstance in Srila Prabhupada's Leela, when he ever said that Grihastas should not study Bhagavatam. And so that's why it's important we attend classes, so that we learn from devotees what some of such statements mean. And talking about, I actually said something on the WhatsApp page this morning because His Grace Ishwara Prabhu had posted something about, because the day he gave class, there was this question about why Duryodhana was such a favorite disciple of Balaram. Balaram is Krishna. So why would Krishna, in the form of Balaram, be so affectionate to a demonic person like Duryodhana? So he said that he did some studies, and so he was sharing with us. So he posted, it's a 3-page PDF article by one devotee, I think Madhavananda Prabhu. So Prem Vilas Prabhu was saying that, but well, this article does not actually explain why Duryodhana so much loved Dhritarashtra. And so Ishwara Prabhu's response was that, well, that is just internal. It's internal reason. So we cannot just understand the external reason. So I contributed, I said that doesn't help. If that is the case, then the title of that article, why Lord Balaram was so affectionate to Duryodhana should not be the title, because the content does not give the explanation to why Lord Balaram was so much affectionate to Duryodhana. And so there are many things we cannot understand externally without understanding the internal reason. But at the same time, the external things we see also send us some message. For example, there is this question about why mighty Bhishma Dev, he is amazing devotee of the Lord. Why would he side with Duryodhana, the evil one? But there is external reason, because Bhishma Dev is proving to us that no matter how great, no matter how powerful you are, if you align yourself to the side with that Krishna, you're going to lose. So even though there is an internal reason, but the external aspect also teaches us something. And so even though Arjun and Ulupi merged and they had this child Aravan, there is internal reason, but there must also be an external reason. See? Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. I actually saw that your post when Ishwara Prabhu sent that in, and yeah, it's this is the beauty of our Krishna consciousness movement, and that is what our great acharyas did. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur will go daily to all different ashram and sit down and then discuss and then try to emphasize and establish the higher Siddhanta of Vaishnava Gaudiya tradition. And that is what we're also supposed to be doing. And the more we get absorbed in shunning the nectar of the Lord's activities, then that increases our remembrance of the Lord. And that is the whole essence. Because as we hear and talk about Krishna, the natural result is that we start getting purified. You know, sometimes devotees, sometimes we so much focus on rules and regulations and we lose the actual bhakti. Bhakti is not about cultivating regulative principles. Yes, even though in the beginning of devotional service, yes, we are asked to follow rules and regulations, but the ultimate platform of bhakti is where that the rules and regulations does not even exist in our world, because we don't even see them, because we are so absorbed in Krishna and Krishna activities that the sinful activities does not even find its way near us. So the more we speak about him, the more wonderful it is.
Thank you so much, Salika Prabhu. Just the last part of statement you made, that is so interesting, because I heard this from one devotee. You know how, like, when one is trying to learn how to play a piano and organ, I mean, your whole attention is not missing the keys and hitting on the right keys. So even though you may be trying to play Hare Krishna with your keys, you are not concentrating on the Hare Krishna, you are concentrating on the keys. But once you become perfect, you're no more concentrating on the keys, you just enjoying the rhythm. And so, yeah, initially the principles, the regulative principles are there for us, but at the advanced stage, we don't even think about them because it becomes natural to us. But initially, in our beginning stages, they are very, very necessary and important. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Well, today is Friday, and usually Fridays, people who work in offices, they do very, very shabby job because they want to run out to go to the countryside and have fun in the weekend. So today being Friday, it seems the devotees are very much relaxed. They want to go out and rest. So nobody has questions today. Hare Krishna, thank you so much. So if there is no more question or comment, we're going to ask all the devotees to unmute. And of course, we also give Salika Prabhu the opportunity to go and embark on his other assignment.
The program has started. And,
Yes, so we ask all the devotees to unmute and then we chant Hare Krishna to express appreciation for our precious speaker Salika Prabhu Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare. Vanchakapatarivyas Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Titanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Kuti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Jai. Jai. All glories to Grace Sri Salika Prabhu ki Jai. All glories to the devotees. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Rama.